Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Wrap Podcast, the place to catch up on all the regional and national rugby in Wales. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms and message us through there if you want, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So all the boring stuff out the way, let's talk rugby. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrap Podcast with me, Lee G, and joining me this week, as always, is Jamie. Good evening, Jamie.
Evening, how are we?
Or should I say, buenos noches, hombres.
Oh, you started already.
I started already.
Can't help yourself, can you? Did you have a nice holiday? I suppose you'll have to talk about it. Did you have a nice time in Mexico?
I did, mate. It was absolutely fucking amazing. Absolutely, it was brilliant. Yeah. It was just, I could sit here and talk about it all night. I'm not going to, because I spent last night in A&E recovering from my overindulgence in.
Oh, seriously, right? No sympathy for me, I'm afraid.
But it's just been an amazing couple of weeks. So.
Ask you one question though about your holiday before we continue, because I saw this on your Facebook and I thought I'd go ask. Your wife Helen took over your Facebook account one evening. Yeah. She said that she had an unfortunate incident with her phone and a pina colada. I need to know what happened. Yeah.
It wasn't as exciting. We were all inclusive, so all the drinks were free. Nice. So we just had, massive amounts of all sorts of shit. And we were at a dance party night, a family party night, the white party, which I wore my Wrap t-shirt to.
I did know this, yeah. Good PR, Annie. Good promotion.
Yeah. And it was as simple as my wife had left her phone on the table and my daughter just knocked the pina colada over the top of the phone and just fucking ruined the phone. And it was fine, but the charger thing underneath, and then you get that message that says there's moisture in there, so that's all it was.
Right.
But yeah, she couldn't cope with not being on Facebook, so I had to let her use fucking women. So anyway, those who are observant will notice that we're missing Carwyn and Reese this evening. Carwyn's got a genuine excuse this evening. He's off to visit friends who are leaving the country, which I got to say, pretty good idea for me. And Reese has gone AWOL. I think he's lost in his house somewhere. They've converted. They've put part of the extension on and closed the door, and I think Reese is just lost in his house and can't find his way out. I reckon that's what it is. So hopefully,
tonight it's the Three Amigos.
Yeah. So joining us this evening, So some of you may have seen this guy on Twitter because he does a whole lot of good shit on Twitter. Student of journalism, Iestyn Thomas. Good evening, Iestyn.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, they all say that at the start, mate. They all say that at the start. Well, let's we'll talk about all the stuff you've done on Twitter, mate, because there's some really good stuff that I've seen on there. But well, let's start with some basics. Let's start with drink of the week. So I'm going to start first, okay? Because I say I've been to Mexico where we got tequila and mezcal and like every different part of Mexico's got its own different type of tequila. And then I was at a hotel where all the drinks are free, like cocktails everywhere. I shit you not, yeah. You're going into breakfast and you walk past the bar and there's two guys at the bar necking fucking tequilas, yeah. So I've spent a whole week overindulging. So my drink of the week is a glass of water, because I think if I drink any more, my liver will split in four and I'll never recover. So
I honestly thought you were going to bring back something from Mexico, a nice tequila or a nice beer or something, to say, look, this is why I brought back from Mexico. No, you haven't.
No, do you know what? They were selling in one of these like souvenir shops. You get the little bottles of tequila like that. And then you have tequila in like a glass replica pistol. I thought, oh, that's a lot. And why would you put it inside a replica pistol? And then the next shelf over, there's one inside a fucking 12-bore shotgun. It's like this. What? I'm like, what? The pistol is confusing enough, but why would you put a ticket? And how do you serve it? How do you serve the? I give up. But yeah, anyway, so water for me. So Iestyn, what's your drink of the week, mate?
Yeah, so despite being a university student, I'm one of the select few that don't drink alcohol. So yeah, a trustworthy soft drink of Dr. Pepper for me tonight. And
great choice.
Yeah,
it's my go-to. So thought I'd stick with my roots.
Yeah, a student classic that is. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a bit of Dr. Pepper, can you? Yeah. James, what's yours, mate?
Well, look, I've been trying to get off Tiny Rebel, right? Because people are asking me if I'm on commission. The answer is no, unfortunately. Okay, so I thought I'll come off Tiny Rebel, but the problem is they've released new beers, haven't they? And when they release new beers, I need to try them. So I got this one. It's called Whirly Durly. Look at that. I love the can. It's a beautiful design.
It looks like a can of pop.
It's 5%. It's a 5% IPA. It's really hard to describe the taste. It's like berries with a bit of orange in it. It's very cloudy, as you can see. But yeah, I don't mind this one. It's not bad. It's, you know, there are other beers I prefer, Tiny Rebel. I had one the other day. What's it called? Fruit Punch, I think, something like that. Or Citrus Punch, it's called. Yeah, I tried that. That was good. This one is okay. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. But yeah, it's a new one from Tiny Rebel. But I am planning to come off Tiny Rebel because it's getting boring now. I need to try different beers, different flavours and stuff. So yeah, I will next week hopefully have a brand new different beer.
No, you won't, because they've released a range of beers, so you'll have to go through the whole lot of them. And at some point, you're going to have to find whatever it was that Carwyn bought you when we were in the pub at Judgment Day. And
I don't want to find that, to be honest. I don't know what the hell he bought, but that was the worst drink of alcohol I've ever tasted. I don't think Carwyn even knows what he got. He just got bar slops or something. It wasn't right what he bought.
You just went across the bar and went, we'll have some of that.
That's what I think.
You finished with that pint, mate? Yeah, fucking Jamie!
Pouring leftovers in a glass, like, topping up. Oh, no. I keep with it.
Yeah. So let's do some rugby stuff then, gents. So what have I missed over the last week or so?
Well, let's talk about the big news. The big news is that Dragons are finally going into private ownership.
Right.
Oh, yes. So they're going into private ownership in the summer, officially. Heads of terms was signed last Friday on the 30th of June. It's been described as a deal which will benefit all relevant stakeholders in the Welsh professional game. And I have to say, I'm absolutely delighted and very relieved that this has finally happened, because this dragged on for a very, very long time. And I got skeptical as to whether it actually would happen. I didn't sleep well on the Thursday, I have to admit. On the deadline day, I did not sleep well because I was hearing all sorts of stuff, and it was really making me nervous. My hope on the Friday was that we would just sign the heads of terms and, secure the lease. But of course, there was a big, big bonus, a major development. Not only have Dragons secured private ownership, but they also taken over Rodney Parade, the whole of Rodney Parade, which is massive. That is huge for the club, because that means now the Dragons are a club with assets. And nobody was expecting that. And fair play to David Buttress. He's pulled it out to the bag. And it's a brilliant development for everyone connected at the Dragons, to have that uncertainty, for a number of weeks now. Was we going to go into private ownership? Was there going to be no deal? What was going to happen? It's really not nice. I could sympathise with people, even with Ospreys fans, when you don't know what's happening with your club. Not being serious though, when you don't know what's happening, it's really unsettling. But no, it's brilliant news. So Dragons going into private ownership in the summer. It hasn't been officially signed and sealed. There's still some legal stuff to go through and all the rest of it. But it is going to happen by the summer. And David Buttress will have full control of the Dragons and Rodney Parade. So what are our thoughts on that? Yes, Tim, what did you make of that news?
Yeah, it's just what you've just said. It's brilliant news for the Dragons and supporters like yourself and many others. They will be delighted. And I think David Buttress, especially on social media, the way he interacts with people on Twitter, for example, I think it's really good to see that he's in front of the consortium that's taking it over. So yeah, as you said, I think it's brilliant news for the Dragons, and obviously very vital that they got the ownership of Rodney Parade, which will be great news for them. Obviously, it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens now between the Dragons and Newport County, the football club, especially with the pitch. But on the whole, it's great news for the Dragons, and it should be some exciting times down in Newport for the next few years.
So you mentioned Newport County there. My understanding is this going to be negotiated a 10-year lease, county, and because the WRU will no longer be the landlords of Newport County, will be the Dragons. And this is why it's really important for David Buttress to take over that whole Rodney Parade site. It means there's an additional revenue streams. Obviously, the Cabbage Patch, if there's any redevelopments on that now, the profits will go to Dragons. And with County being there, they will want to get a deal done, because the Dragons need County as much as County need Dragons, because the County are a valuable revenue stream now to the Dragons. So they will definitely get a lease sorted out on that one. As for the consortium, I don't know exactly who the consortium is or how many of them are. It's been a bit top secret. I saw David Buttress on Twitter say that he is going to have a Q&A with supporters, and he's going to update the consortium. He's going to get the consortium there and meet with supporters and update supporters on future developments. But it's very, very exciting. I do know that one of the consortium is local. He's from Gwent. I know that. And I know that one of the investors is from overseas somewhere. So that'll be interesting to know where he's from and how rich he is. Quite frankly. So let's hope he is absolutely loaded. But Lee, what was your thoughts when you heard this?
Yeah, as I say, I've only seen headline stuff, but obviously it's fantastic for the Dragons just to have the uncertainty removed more than anything. Yes. But I think that the devil's in the detail about who is in the consortium and what are they looking to get out of it. Or what are they looking to put into it? Have you got some people in there that are really dedicated to growing rugby in the area? Or how far do they want to push the area? How far do they want to push the region, sort of thing? So I think it's be interesting. I was querying in my head the other day about who owned what before the WRU took over. So who owned Rodney Parade before it went into WRU control? Did the WRU control Rodney Parade then as well?
Oh, so Rodney Parade was under the control of Newport RFC, but the actual Dragons themselves, they were part owned by the WRU. So when you hear people say Dragons are going back into private ownership, it's not quite right. They've never fully been in private ownership, because when Gwent Dragons sort of dissolved and became Newport Gwent Dragons, Newport RFC had a 50% stake and the WRU had a 50% stake. So the WRU have always had a stake and an involvement in the Dragons. This will be the first time the Dragons are fully privately owned, but it was under Newport RFC controlled the ground, and then the WRU bought it, didn't they, in 2017 when they took over the Dragons. They paid 2.85 million from it. Now, I can tell you now, that was an absolute steal. I said that at the time, and I guarantee you, I don't know what the consortium paid for Rodney Parade. It'll be a damn sight more than that, because in all honesty, Newport were shafted a little bit with that price tag. They got Rodney Parade very, very cheap, the WRU, and they really did want to let it go to David Buttress. You know, I think this was part of the reason why there was such a delay. The WRU really did not want to let go of the cabbage patch, because that's, you know, that's land, that's assets, you know, and it could be redeveloped, and that's just additional revenue streams which the WRU wanted to keep hold of, and the other regions wanted to keep hold of. Because if you remember Nigel Short, and we talked about this, didn't we, when we had David Buttress on, Nigel Short, the Scarlets chairman, the plan was that any redevelopments on that cabbage patch was going to be shared between the 4 regions. Obviously, that's not happening now. I don't know if there's any overage fee involved in the land. So I saw Sean Barry, I should say, from Wales Online. He was saying that if the ground was sold to developers, if Buttress sold that land, the WRU could get a percentage of it. That's what's known as overage, apparently. So maybe, but you'd have to think something would come out of it for the WRU and the regions for them to all agree and allow this to happen. But it was a very difficult negotiation. Painstaking talks is what I was told. I haven't spoken to a couple of people there. That's why it took so long. But I'm just glad and relieved and delighted that it's finally done, you know.
Well, it's nice to have some good news to talk about for a change. Because
it is.
We've been doing this a season now, and they're few and far between, really. You know, good news stories. So.
It is, but I don't want to put a downer on it, mind. But what I will,
but no, I'm going to.
What I'm trying to say is, obviously, I am still delighted, but my point is that regional rugby now is in some really difficult challenges over the next couple of years. You know, the reductions in squads, the reduction in budgets. You know, it's really important now that Dragons start winning games on the field. I think off the field now we're set up really nicely. You know, we got a good man there, David Buttress. He's done brilliant for the Dragons. What we need now is to start winning games on the field, because ultimately that's what's going to pull in the crowds. You know, it's not rocket science. Success pulls crowds, and I think the Dragons have got to start punching above their financial weight, as will all the regions, but especially for the Dragons. You know, they've got to make people come to Rodney Parade. The only way they're going to do that is to start winning games. So while this is brilliant news, there are still further challenges ahead down the road for David Buttress and the Dragons. Like, how do you make a profit? You know, the Dragons do have the lowest crowds out of the 4 regions. How do you bump up attendances? How do you drive more commercial income? So all this will have to be thought about, and it is going to be a challenge for David Buttress and his consortium. I don't think they're in this purely to make as much as they can. I mean, David Buttress did say it's a passion project. You know, I don't think they're going to make millions and millions from this, but it's exciting. I'm more optimistic now about the Dragons than I've been in a very long time, because now it feels like it's a new era for the club. You know, no, I don't want you laughing for. Serious now. It's a new era for the club. We are free from the shackles of the union. We haven't got, you know, it was an anchor weighing us down, and every time we made a signing, you'd have fans of the other 3 regions bitching about WRU favouritism. Where's the money coming from? WRU magic tree and all the other bollocks you see on Twitter. That's not going to happen now. Dragons have got to be financially responsible, and they got to look after themselves now, and that's what's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to it now. I'm really looking forward to the new season. Until the season actually kicks off, we start losing again, and then I'll be back to where I was before. Probably.
Yeah, and that's what I was laughing at. The bit where you saying that we need to be optimistic, and then
I am optimistic. I'm always optimistic in the off season, right?
Yeah, and then we kick off.
That's very good news.
Yeah, it is. It is. So what else has been happening this week? Because there must have been something.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, Y11 were having merger talks again. But it's not really a merger, this. with Cardiff. Alex Bywater from the Daily Mail reported it, then it got picked up in the rugby paper. So Y11 were having talks with Cardiff about acquiring Peter Thomas's shares at Cardiff. In the rugby paper, there was an Ospreys leading figure. I think I know who this was, but apparently a leading figure for the Ospreys, and this quote: "There have been conversations with Cardiff about trying to help them, but they are in a very poor state. It's such a mess." I mean, like I said, those who know who that leading figure at the Ospreys is. I know exactly who this. I've even been told who it is. But then Cardiff did also release a statement afterwards saying there was always going to be changes following the death of Peter Thomas, and they had said that there were numerous inquiries and approaches over purchasing Peter Thomas's shareholding in the club, with some of these considered by the board. So it sounds like there definitely has been talks. But I don't know if anything's going to come off it now, because let's be honest, if the Ospreys did pursue that, it would highly likely that the Ospreys would be closed down. The Y11 would put their lot into Cardiff. I want to talk about this with you yesterday, because obviously you're an Ospreys fan. What did you think when you thought, oh no, there's merger talks again with the Ospreys? Like, what was your reaction to this news?
After the first thought, I think, oh no, here we go again. My second thought was Cardiff might have a half-decent pack next season, but that's another debate.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Y11, they've got majority control of the Ospreys. They've also got a smaller stake in the Hurricanes in New Zealand. So they've always been looking around at the clubs. I think that's how the Ealing merger, or reports from Ospreys and Ealing, came along, was because they wanted to make a little switch to the Ospreys to be playing in England and Ealing to be in the URC. That's what a couple of people have been saying. But it was really interesting, because I don't think it was a merger at all, in my opinion. No. I just thought it was, right, Y11 to take the stake away from the Ospreys, put it into Cardiff, and it would be nearly impossible for the Ospreys to be in existence. And it's really interesting that James Yendall Davis, who obviously the founder of Y11, and has got pretty sure he's either co-owner of the Ospreys of some way. He said in October 2020 there's going to be a 10-year project to get the Ospreys, back up to where they were about a decade ago, winning titles and winning in Leinster. And obviously when you think about it, 3 years in, and there's been reports of a merger with Ealing and Cardiff, you're thinking this is a little bit bizarre now from an Ospreys point of view, that the results obviously has improved from when Y11 first came in, because I don't think they could have got any worse at the time, because the Ospreys only went the entire season with only picking up 2 wins, which was against Benetton and Ulster. And you're thinking, right, there's not much that can get much worse from here. But and then obviously Y11 took over, and then they slowly rebuilding up. And then they're looking at different sides and they're looking to. So it's a bit bizarre. I don't think there was probably much in it in terms of this merger. I didn't really think much about it, because I think Y11 probably wanted to play a couple of games in Swansea. But then again, Cardiff would have come back to them and said, right, we're going to be called Cardiff Rugby and we're going to play at the Arms Park. So I think it's probably quite tricky for Y11 to try and sort anything out there.
So do you think Y11 are actually any good for the Ospreys? I know they put money in and what have you, but do you think if there was somebody running the Ospreys that was a bit more local, or cared about the Ospreys as a club, as a team? Do you know what I mean? It seems to me Y11 are there to make the cash, and that's where it stops. And rugby's not a cash making process, and I think that's why they're struggling. What do you reckon on that?
Yeah, you're probably correct. I think Y11, when the news first broke about during COVID's May 2020, I believe, you thought, oh, this is rather exciting. This could be quite interesting. But then now looking at it now, you're thinking, right, they might be here just for the money, and they're going to try and make some money, then go away and do something else. But it was really bizarre because probably the coaching side of things, because you got Mike Ruddock with the development pathway, obviously Toby Booth is head coach, and you're thinking they've got that nearly right. Toby Booth's a good coach. Mike Ruddock's been very good with the academies. We've seen throughout the age grades. Obviously, Ospreys won the under-18s tournament this year, and there's quite a few in the under-20 squad that are playing out in South Africa right now. So on that side of things, you're thinking, yes, that looks quite promising. But then when you read about different mergers and different reports about, Y11 looking at different stakes, you're thinking, are they really on board with what the Ospreys are doing? So some aspects, yes, and some aspects, no. And I'd probably wager more to the no at the moment.
Mm. They seem to keep shooting themselves in the foot. They've with all the, like you said, it's just constant merger talks, and then you go, like, even there was somebody said something before I went on holiday about like an English side that was struggling, like Newcastle or something like that. And the first thing that somebody says, "Oh, merger with Ospreys is on the cards there," it's become almost like a joke that Ospreys will merge with you, and it just distracts from the game. Don't get me wrong. I hope Ospreys get absolutely tonked in every game, but I'd still like to see the Ospreys there existing so that everyone else can give them an absolute kicking. That's just the way life is, But there we go.
Yeah, Dragons need someone to beat a Rodney Parade every year, because that's what seems to be the run of the mill at the moment. There's not many times the Ospreys have gone up there and won, and Parker Scarlets for the reference. They haven't won there for a few years either. So Lee's probably right there. But it's when you see people say, "Oh, merger of the Ospreys coming along" on Twitter, you think, here we go again. And then even when people are saying it as a joke, you're thinking, right, someone needs to sort this out and make sure that Wales keep four regions together.
I just think it's not fair on the supporters, all this merger stuff, because it just creates uncertainty, doesn't it? Yeah, and that's just not a good thing. But I find it interesting at the moment. Ospreys are not selling season tickets. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a look at all the regions' websites. Everyone was selling season tickets, bar the Ospreys. But then I think it was last week, they did make an announcement, Ospreys, and they said that we got some new exciting announcements coming to the Ospreys for our 20th anniversary season, which has unfortunately delayed our season member launch. I mean, I still don't really understand why you can't sell season tickets. I don't get that, to be honest. Like, the other three are doing it now. You should be pushing now, doing early bird promotions, getting them out there. So I'm not sure I buy that. I think that's a lot of waffle, to be honest. But it says here, this is for good reason, as we want to ensure the upcoming season is the best yet. And I like this bit. Trust us, it's worth it. Well, let's see about that. What do you think it is then? What do you think it is, yes? What are these exciting announcements then?
Magically win the league, and it will be worth it. But that's not going to happen over the next few years. But I'm not too sure what these announcements are. I remember when the merger with Cardiff was first reported. I remember my dad sent me a message, straight away as the news broke, and he was quite downbeat about it. He thought this was the one that was going to go through. But obviously, it's not happening now, because it was the third or fourth merger talks over the last 4 years. So it's rather worrying when you see it come up again. But
let's count these merger talks. So the first one was the Scarlets, but that was before Y11. Who was the next one then?
Well, the first one was Cardiff, just before the Scarlets one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Ospreys played Munster on a Friday night in the and I can't remember who was on core commentary, but it might have been Sean Hawley, and they were going on about a merger with Cardiff pre-match, and there was meetings going on the day, and then the Ospreys lost to Munster, is what normally happens, and then post-match, Alan Clark, who was head coach at the time, he said to the press that was at the game, they said, all right, all clear, Ospreys are still going to be a region next year. And then obviously a couple of weeks later, the news about the Scarlets came out, and you're thinking, oh, here we go, this is close on happening. and obviously 11th minute hour that kind of got pulled away. So that was obviously before Y11 came in, and obviously this year then we've had Ealing and now Cardiff. So so yeah, it's always fun. Always fun with the Ospreys, especially when you're trying to avoid.
And I don't think we're the last one either. I bet you there'll be another merger in a few. That's the problem now, you know. And if I was an Ospreys fan, I'd be quite wary now of Y11. I'd start to question their motives and intentions, because this can't keep happening, can it? We can't keep having these merger rumours, because, like I said, it creates uncertainty for supporters, for sponsors, for stakeholders. You know, it's getting daft, and like we said, it's becoming a bit of a joke now, isn't it? You know,
yeah, it obviously affects the players as well. You know,
yes,
not just obviously it affects supporters, stakeholders, and people like that, but the players probably want to know where they want to play. You know, each season, you know, the way it's going. Every year, there's a different merger on the cards, and you're thinking that's not healthy for a squad that wants to be competing at such a professional level, and a point towards season tickets. They're coming out at the end of July, obviously.
Yes.
But my only counteract to that would probably be because the URC season is starting in the middle of October, the 22nd of October, I believe the first round of games are. So you could argue there's a little bit of a delay in the season, so they might not release the season tickets out in time. But obviously, you're going to look at it from the viewpoint of 3 of the 4 regions have got their season tickets released. Why haven't the Ospreys? So obviously the counteract kind of goes into nothing then. But maybe because of the season being delayed might be a small reason. But obviously everyone's going to look at it from the viewpoint of they're merging again. That's why there's no season tickets.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, being cynical as I am, I wonder if they put it off because they're having these talks with Cardiff. They wanted to see how far they'd get. I tell you what was interesting, though, on the Scrum 5 podcast I listened to last week, they were live from the Wales camp. They had Alex Bywater from the Daily Mail on there, and they were talking about this story, and he said the talks were still ongoing. That was last week. So I thought that was quite interesting. So I wonder if we have heard the last of this story or not. But yeah, I still can't see any reason why season tickets should be on sale like the other 3, really. Announcement or no announcement, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
see, I think the interesting bit is this bit where they said we've got some exciting announcements coming up, and I think, you know, Ospreys media team is actually really good. They've been really good this year, and particularly having a shit team to do the promo for, they've been outstanding.
He's carrying his digs in now. He's cowards. He's got on so ignoring Yestin.
He's pestering in now. This is going to be interesting.
You need to fire some shots, Yestin, just so you know, okay? He's been doing this all night.
So I want to make sure I land as a journalist. I don't want to be accused of things.
No, so, but my point is that, you know, if they've been slightly delayed on everything, though. There wasn't a end of season like leavers list and things like that, and everything's just been, there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that may be linked to this merger, or may be linked to, you know, something else. It may be linked to, you know, are they not going to play at Swansea.com next year anyway? You know, are they just going to move to a different stadium? Or do you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but there's something in there that is delaying everything. You know, it's not just season tickets. There's lots of announcements. There's lots of other stuff, which is just, they're always on the back foot. Do you know what I mean? So, and that may be personnel behind the scenes. You know, there may be personnel battles and somebody wants to do something, somebody wants to, we don't know. But there is something at the Ospreys which isn't sitting right, where you want to be sitting there, and like you say, we've got an extra couple of weeks pre-season now. That's the way to look at it. Is we should be hitting the start of the URC. You know, Scarlets have been back in, Dragons have been back in. I'm assuming that Ospreys are back in pre-season, and fuck knows what's happening at Cardiff, because there's no coach. There's nobody there to coach them. But you know what I mean? There's something there at the Ospreys that just isn't sitting right, and those couple of weeks of extra pre-season training might be wasted. And if they don't get it sorted soon, it might be wasted. But then you look at Cardiff and you think, fucking hell, these boys are going into the top rank of Europe next year with no coaches. Half the team have disappeared, and their main backer has sadly died.
I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Cardiff, on the grapevine. I can't say a lot of words. I've been told secrecy. They're in the shit. They are big time. Trust me on that. Off the field stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on there behind the scenes. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying about that. But Cardiff are massively in some trouble, it's fair to say. Not just financially as well. So, yeah.
You're itching to tell us as well, aren't you? You're itching.
No, I can't. I can't. But there's a lot of stuff going on there behind the scenes. Okay, so let's move on from that. I think we've said enough about the Ospreys. I look forward to seeing these exciting now. So hopefully, they can get season tickets and get back, but have a bit of stability now, isn't it? And no more merger talks for a season or so at least.
I don't think my dad could take much more. He's a big, massive Osprey supporter, and I don't think he could take much more. So, yeah, that would be nice.
Let's move on to some Wales news now. Tame Plumtree. Scarlets' new signing, Tame Plumtree. Gatland's wasting no time whatsoever in calling him up to the squad. I mean, literally, he was signed by the Scarlets in the week, and then just a couple of days later, he's in the Wales squad. I tell you what, mate, if I was a Scarlets fan, I wouldn't be too pleased with this. Because when the squads are being reduced and they're going to be paper thin during the World Cup year, we're going to be low on numbers. Tame Plumtree is the kind of guy you'd want with you all season. And for him to come in and just go again with Wales, it's I wouldn't be too best pleased about that as a Scarlets fan. But what do you make of it all then? Tame Plumtree parachuted straight into the Wales team. Good idea? Bad idea? What were your thoughts on it?
Well, for me, I don't even know if the guy's actually been to the Scarlets yet. Do you know what I mean? Normally, when somebody comes in, like the South African coach, the forwards coach that's come in, when he arrived, there was a bit of a song and dance on social media, and here we are, they're sending interviews and this, that, and the other. I haven't seen that with Plumtree. I might have missed it because I've been away, but I haven't seen it. So I don't actually know if the guy's actually been to Parker Scarlets, other than to sign a contract and go, here's the players. By the way, I'm off to fucking Wales camp for 6 weeks. I got two issues with it. One, nobody actually knows how the guy plays. We've seen a couple of video clips, but there's a lot more to a player than a 3-minute video reel. You haven't played that much top flight rugby. And
6 games for the Blues. He's played 6 competitive games for the Blues in New Zealand.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just seems with so many other good players, back row and second row players that could be in that squad, that have proved their worth week in, week out in Wales. I just think it sends out the wrong message to the players who are within the Welsh game. You just go play where you want, boys, because fuck it don't matter. Just go do what you want, and you'll be all right. If you're good enough, you'll be in there. But also you've got players. He's technically in as a 7, isn't he? He's there as a open side. I know he can cover lots of different positions.
He's the first touch, so he can play lock and across the back row. And I think this is a key factor in this call-up, actually, is versatility. Because a lot of people are saying this on social media. To be fair, it was my first thought. People are saying, well, hang on a minute. What about the likes of Thomas Young, James Botham, and Morgan Morris? But I think Tame Plumtree's size and versatility is why Gatland has called him up. I mean, he did say that, he's 6'5" back row forward. We don't have a lot of those here in Wales. He says he's 23, and whether he makes the World Cup squad or not, he's definitely a player we want to keep in mind for the future. So he may not even go to the World Cup. This might be Gatland just bringing him in, having a look at him, have a good look at him just to see what he's like, how he trains, how he fits in with the rest of the camp. If he doesn't go to the World Cup, I can guarantee he'll probably be in the Six Nations squad. Like I could see him being in the Six Nations squad if he don't make the World Cup. But I do think his size and his versatility is probably why Gatland has called him in, and that's what gives him the edge over the likes of Morgan Morris and Thomas Young and James Buffett. What did you make of it, Justin?
At first thought, when you read that someone's played 16 minutes in Super Rugby with 2 solo appearances from the bench, you're thinking, oh, this doesn't seem very good. But looking through it, World Cup squads, they're not very big, are they? They're not like a Six Nations squad where there's about 40-odd players involved, or an autumn squad, and there's same amount of players. You're about 33, 31. I can't remember what the official number is off the top of my head. But seeing someone that can play at least 6 and 8, at least 6 and 8, and can move into the second row when needs to be, and 6 or 5 probably is very good around the rolling ball from very minimal clips I've seen. I mean, he looks rather tidy around the rolling ball, but he's also quite athletic as well, and he looks like he's got a little bit of pace about him. When he's playing for Wellington, he's got a hat-trick on his debut, which included a 20-30 metre break, which is, not many back rowers claim to be doing that. And but as you said, versatility is probably the key where he gets over. And the one player that came to my mind when I was thinking about country was Seb Davis, when Gatland tried to move him to number 8, I think it was, against Tonga a few years ago. So I was thinking, if obviously he's looking for someone that's quite big to be able to play either in the back row or 8, See, Tulupe Faletau is not fit at the minute. I think he's carrying a bit of a niggle. So maybe
that's right.
Could be someone that slots in the 8, but he might even be playing on the bench because he can fill out quite a lot of places in that pack.
Mm. Mm. So how many people have we lost from the Wales camp now? Because I've started to lose track of how many players are actually there and out, because they're out in Switzerland at the minute, aren't they, doing altitude stuff? So I know we lost Ken and McLeod from Scarlets players. Who else have we lost over the last week or so from the Welsh squad?
Well, Ken Owens has pulled out, haven't he? I know that. And then the obvious ones are Halloween Jones, Corey Hill, Justin Tippett. I think it's about 5 or 6, maybe, something like that. Obviously, Rhys Carey got released. I don't know the exact number, but it's come down a little bit, doesn't it?
It's come down a fair bit. Yeah.
They've announced it.
And I can't see that being, helpful for... It's unsettling if you're in that squad, seeing that many players come in and go. And you might be sitting there going, like, well, some of the old boys shouldn't have been here or whatever. Loads of players carrying injuries and stuff like that. You just kind of, I don't know, you would hope for a more settled build-up to a World Cup. And bringing in a guy from New Zealand who signs for Scarlets one day and then is in the Welsh setup the next. I know he is
Welsh.
He's born in Wales, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was born in Swansea.
Yeah, his dad was coach of the Ospreys at the time. Yeah, so qualification is fair enough on those grounds, I suppose. But like some Morgan Morris just on his own. There's people there, Morgan Morris and what's his name, Young, just should have been in there at the start. We shouldn't be.
I agree. They should.
It's just bizarre. But we've done that one. we did that one.
We've done that one. Yes, because I know our Carwyn still bangs on about Morgan Morris, doesn't he? But as have I on Twitter. I've said it loads of times, but for whatever reason, Gatland just doesn't fancy him in the same way as Thomas Young. He's got his reasons. He just doesn't see him as international players right now. But there's interesting stories coming about the Wales camp, isn't there? So did you hear about the waterboarding stuff? About players having hoods over their heads, doused in water, and everyone on social media was like, waterboarded. Gatland is waterboarding the players. What the fuck?
But this is SAS training. This is SAS level training. And you're like, the boys are going to go play a game of rugby. They're not rescuing people from the Iranian siege. You know, it's a fucking game of rugby. I question how that sets you up. How does that improve your mentality and your resilience for a game of rugby? Because I think
toughens you up. They'll say
I don't think it does.
It toughens you up, but in the difficult situations, it's psychological, isn't it? So they went to the Green Mile, they did in Taff's Well, and they were doing all this military stuff. Apparently, the Wales coaches weren't there. It was purely led by these ex-Marines, and they really did put them through the mill, by all accounts.
But your resilience, with those kind of things, is done from doing that consistently and repetitively. Being in a constant situation where you're in a life-threatening situation and you have to rely on your own self, your skills and all of this kind of stuff, and then you come through it, but then you do it again, and you come through it, and then you do it again, and you come through, and you get to the point where you think you're invincible, which is what you need to do for the SAS and things like that. Doing it for a rugby player and doing it one-off has very little effect. But it'll have very little effect on the mentality of that individual. Either it was in there before, or it wasn't. I don't
know. See, I can see the benefits of it. I can personally. I can. I mean, I don't condone waterboarding. Let's be clear about that. That bit I don't condone. I mean, I don't think it was waterboarded in the strictest sense, but I can understand why people sort of thought, "I got this sounds a bit wrong." But this has got shades of the World Cup 2011, isn't it? Remember when Gatland absolutely beasted his players, and he kept constantly talking about fitness. And when you read Warburton's book, he kept saying, Gatland kept telling us, you're the fittest team out there. Nobody is fitter than us. I think Gatland is beasting the players because he wants them to be fit, because fitness is going to play a big part of this World Cup.
Yeah.
In the last quarter of the game, when things are tight, Wales, if they're fit, as we saw in previous World Cup, they can come back from the dead. They can, get over the game line. So I think that's what it is. I think it's about fitness and just getting over the line when things are tight and players are tiring. I can see the benefits of it, but he really is beasting those players. I mean, have you seen the size of Gareth Davis? Fuck me.
Yeah, he's like a beast, isn't he? But a lot of that he did before. He's done that. He had a kick up the arse before, and he hit the weights and he bulked. So that's the rejection reaction more than that. But do you remember a couple of World Cups ago, where the French team all shaved their heads because they'd done a 6-week boot camp before the World Cup, and they said it felt like prison, so they all shaved their heads as protest and refused to work with the coach in the World Cup. That's where I'm seeing this going more than players. If we were a bit more Gallic in our kind of attitude and what have you, I think we'd be more there than kind of is this improving our fitness and our mentality?
To be fair though, when you look at the videos on social media, it does look like a happy camp. I mean, I know they could edit it that way to make it seem like, but it does look, players do look generally happy and they're talking positive things about it. I mean, Gareth Davis was, very wax lyrical about that day. They went up the Green Mile and he said it was good for bonding and all that sort of stuff. So there are benefits to it. But I'll tell you a story I read last night, which is quite funny. Wales are packing, so they're going to Switzerland now to train up this ski resort. They're packing an entire gym and loading it onto a lorry and going up to Switzerland. I mean, the cost and logistics involved in that. And I'm reading this thinking, could they have just gone somewhere else that had a gym?
Yeah.
Because I just don't understand, why you would pack a whole gym onto a lorry. And they got to assemble it themselves as well, apparently. They all got, this gym got to be actually assembled up Switzerland. It's going to take so much time and effort and money.
Maybe that's the training, mate. Maybe they got to push the fucking lorry to Switzerland. They're going to get to Dover and they go, right, okay, now you've got to swim and we're all going to attach a bit of a rope and you've got to swim over. You've got to pull the boat over with a gym on the back. It's a big. I can see the Green Mile thing as a bonding, as a team bonding thing. I get that.
Yes.
But as a mental resilience, load of shit, in my opinion. But there we.
Justin, what are your thoughts on it? Is it a load of shit like he says, or do you think there are benefits to it? I think there are, personally, but what do you reckon?
Some ways, and probably in terms of bonding, there is. I probably think the unloading of the gym probably has a little bit of bonding involved in that as well. But I saw a tweet back to the waterboarding point. I saw a tweet of when the photo of Gareth Davis on social media, and someone quote retweeted it. I couldn't remember who it was, but Gareth Davis has been is poured with something with protein shakes because how much the muscle
was on
that show.
That was Patricia from the podcast. She said someone's waterboarded Gareth Davis with protein shake, which is quite funny actually. Yeah, it was a good team.
And you're thinking right, they're clearly doing some sort of hard work in their training camp, and you can see what Gatland's obviously trying to do. But I can see why the gym has been could be a part of team bonding. But then again, you're thinking, they really could have pushed the boat a little bit to find somewhere with the gym, so that the players could have trained without taking all the equipment with them. But I don't know if it works for the World Cup, then obviously Welsh supporters are not going to complain. If it doesn't, and you're thinking, what on earth are they doing?
Can you imagine they've gone through all this now, and then they get knocked out in the pool stages?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine going through all this to just meekly exit the pool? Which I don't think is going to happen, by the way. But can you imagine it if it did happen?
I'm still not sure what's going to happen in the World Cup yet. I think I need a few more weeks before I start doing my predictions. But
I was going to ask you at the end of the show, actually, while you hold fire on that. So think about it as we do the show. Because we always ask our guests how Wales are going to do in the World Cup. So hold fire on that one. Right, should we move on to rugby transfer news? Because there has been some. One for you, yeah. Well, you've been gallivanting in bloody Mexico, so you wouldn't know, would you?
No.
Drinking bloody tequila and pina coladas and God knows what from shotguns. Whatever the hell it is you were doing out there. Right. One for you then. The Egg Scrag gone to the Scarlets from London Irish. Do you know anything about him? What were your thoughts on that one?
He's an ex-Dragon Academy player, isn't he? Apparently.
He is, yeah. Came from the Dragons Academy,
yeah. I mean, again, I've seen very limited stuff this week, but we were looking to sign a big, hefty second row, someone with a bit more grunt and less showy. But if that's what he does, then that's what he does, and I'll quite happily have him. I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. I haven't had much of a chance to look into him, but what I will say about Dwayne Peel is he knows what kind of player he wants, and he knows who he wants, if that makes sense. He knows, I want a player that'll do this, and he needs to be 6'8", and he needs to be 22 stone, and he needs to turn into the Hulk every third minute and stuff. He knows exactly what he's looking for. So if he's recruited somebody, there's a reason for it. So I put my faith in Dwayne Peel's recruitment policy on that one, in the same way we did with Fafita. When Fafita came to us, it was a bit like, he's a bit showboaty. Is he a little bit too smart? And he's turned out to be, absolutely superb, because he fits into the way we do things, and he does the grunt work as well. So hopefully Ed Scrag will help with that Jake. People underrated Jake Ball when he was with us. They really, really did. And Scarlets and Wales were still trying to find another enforcer, the way Jake Ball used to enforce.
Oh yeah. Wales have missed him terribly. They've never replaced him. No. They have not replaced him. Like somebody said, but we've outgrown Will Rowlands. I'm like, yeah, but they're very different players. Rowlands is not a ball carrier like Jake Ball. No. We have missed our ball carrier lot big time. It's never been replaced.
Yeah. So hopefully that's what Dwayne Peel's looking for. Somebody that can put a bit of grunt work in, do the dirty work around the outside of a ruck, and encourage players to stay back on side, shall we say.
They've been very busy, haven't they, the Scarlets, in the recruitment market? I mean, they're not wasting time. They've signed a number of players now. They seem to be leading the way in terms of recruitment.
Yeah, and this ties into something that I said to you guys before I left, where the head of Scarlets Academy has retired, And you know, the boys that we're retaining in academy are not coming through the way they should do. We've got Archie Hughes coming through academy at the minute, just left academy. Lovely jubbly. But, you know, for me, there's an issue inside the Scarlets academy that needs to be resolved quickly, because we release far too many players who go somewhere else and then become big stars, and then we pull them back and we go, right, come back over here. The guy from Jersey, the guy we re-signed, come back from Jersey, I forgot his name. God, a week away, and I can't remember who fucking signed. But yeah, you know, he's another one that we just
Tommy Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah,
Tommy Lewis.
Tommy, that's it. So we release players from the academy, and they go on and, you know, turn around and go, "This is how good we are, you twats. Why did you release us?" And then we say, oh, "Come back, and we'll pay you 10 times the amount that we would have paid you if you were in academy." Just doesn't make any sense. But there we go.
Yeah.
So
okay. Any thoughts, Justin, on Ed Scar going to Scarlets?
No, it just seems like someone that they need. You know, they need someone doing a bit of the graft. Obviously, you got the likes of Peter and OC. I think they're a bit more playmaking type second rows, and I think they probably need someone there just to do a bit of the dirty work alongside them, which obviously will give them more opportunities and to do wherever they want to do, like offloads and things, which second row shouldn't really be doing, but they do it.
See, I got a feeling, I said this before, I think Fafita is going to play more on the back row of the Scarlets next season, just to provide a bit more bulk, you know? That's what I think anyway, but we'll have to see. But they've got good options at second row now, haven't they, at least, the Scarlets, in fairness. You know, they have got some tiny options now to choose from.
Mate, I wouldn't care if we put Fafita at fullback, as long as he's on the pitch. I don't care. Stick him in as hooker. I don't care. As long as he's on the pitch, we're happy. So
he's a very talented player. He could probably do a decent job at that.
He probably would, wouldn't he?
So there's another signing as well. Rhys Litterick to Cardiff from Harlequins, Welsh qualified prop. Now, this one's a bit of a strange one because the BBC reported this, but there's nothing from Cardiff about it, and there's nothing from Harlequins about it. But the BBC reported that he signed. And according to Dan from Cardiff Rugby Life, who we follow on Twitter, he was saying that Rhys Litterick was signed months ago before Dai Young was suspended. So it's all a bit weird at Cardiff at the moment. They're in such a mess. I just don't get what's going on here at all. But yeah, he's 24-year-old from West Sussex, but he's Welsh qualified for his Bridgend-born father. He's made 6 appearances for Quins, but that was in the Premiership Cup, that cup competition. I did laugh at Wales Online because he said that he was Adam Jones's protege, this guy.
Yeah, I've seen him before. He's quite a decent player.
Well, he's described as a protege, but I think, well, you know, if he's that good and that talented, then why are Harlequins letting him go? And why has he only made 6 appearances in the Premiership Cup? You know, if he's supposed to be this protege, they'd keep hold of him, wouldn't they, you would have thought? But I don't know, maybe it is a good sign. I know nothing about him at all, apart from what I've read in BBC Wales Online. I don't know what you know about him, Justin. Do you know anything about him? Have you seen him?
No, I don't think I have. All I know is that he's Welsh qualified and he's a tight head prop, and he's leaving Harlequins to join Cardiff. That's all I know.
Level of detail there.
Tick the boxes. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, he was like man of the match in one of his games. He's very good in the loose. Is this the blonde-haired guy? He's a little blonde guy, and he's quite bulky. Like I say, Adam Jones is a big fan of his. Obviously, I think Adam Jones had issues with his hairstyle and was trying to encourage a more exuberant kind of hairstyle. But yeah, if it's the guy I'm thinking of, he's a half-decent player, mate. And I think, I don't know why he signed for Cardiff, like I say. It just seems bizarre. But, you know, maybe he's homesick.
Well, like I say, it could be one of those savvy moves, couldn't it? You know, goes under the radar. Then he's going to get good game time at Cardiff, you'd think now, especially with Dylan Lewis off. But that could be a savvy signing. But yeah, Rhys Litterick is off to Cardiff. And like I said, not confirmed by Cardiff, not confirmed by Eloquence, just confirmed by BBC Sport, which is just very bizarre. Another bit of Cardiff news, it looks like there's going to be a U-turn on Tina Stabia. That's the rumour. So if you remember, the WRU had blocked Cardiff from signing a South African, Tina Stabia, from Pumas because they were worried it was going to block the development of the younger fly-offs. And if you remember Steph Thomas, when he was on the show with us, he was saying that the word was that he wasn't actually very good, this Stabia. You know, he said his contacts in South Africa didn't rate him that highly. But like I said, there's no official confirmation yet, but it does look like, from what we're hearing, that Tina Stabia could be given the green light and on his way to Cardiff. So maybe they'll announce that soon. No word on Dai Young. We don't know what's happening there. Like I said, they're down to the bare bones, players, coaches. I fear for Cardiff. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have an absolutely stinking shit season. But you've got to wonder well, I know some of what's going on there, but it's they just need clarity now, Cardiff. They need to get it sorted now with Dai Young. Why is it taking so long? You know, I know there's legal stuff going on, but you'd think it'd like to be resolved by now. You know.
Well, it was last week of the season. It was Judgment Day, where it was the Friday before Judgment Day, wasn't it, when he got suspended? So, you know, that's how long ago was that? Month and a half. What was, you know, I don't understand, and I think a lot of it.
Day was April, wasn't it? Was it April? Judgment Day was, wasn't it?
Yeah, middle to end of April. Yeah, we're in July now.
Yes, that's two and a bit months. You know, so. Yeah, somebody somewhere. It doesn't feel like there's a firm hand on the rudder. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like nobody's going right. Let's get this done. Let's get it sorted. And you know, I want it done now. I need this resolved. And everything just feels too wishy-washy. And I'm not surprised that there's rumours about Cardiff merging with other people. And I think that might actually come up a bit more as well. And I think they're waiting for someone with big money to come in and go, okay, darlings, I'll save you. Come along, my sweeties. Everything's okay. You'll be fine. And this
is part of the problem they got, because obviously with the sad passing of Peter Thomas, someone has to fill that void and underwrite Cardiff, because the Thomas family have agreed to underwrite Cardiff, the estate, for the next 4 years. But after that, I've been told they've got no further desire or interest to keep underwriting Cardiff. So they have got to find a big backer or investors from somewhere to fill that void that Peter Thomas is doing, because he bailed them out the ship no end of times. Let's not forget last season, Sam Warburton, in that Times column, he said, I had it on good authority that if it wasn't for Peter Thomas, he'd stepped in, didn't he, with a big payment. Yes. They would have gone the same way as Worcester and Wasps. And that's what he said last season. So they've been in trouble even when Peter Thomas was alive. So, it's the coaching situation, though, is really worrying, because they've lost a few coaches, haven't they? And if they do need a new head coach, you know, the new season will be here before we know it. You know, by the time you try and recruit someone, interviews, you know, the new coach isn't, you know, if they are going to have a new coach, he's not going to have time to sort of bed in and get to know players and implement new systems. And he's going to have no money to spend on signings. I mean, his signings are going to be it's not looking like a desirable job if it does become available, does it? No. You know?
I said it's going to be like an internal type of, you know, we've seen Jason Tubby stepping in to help Dragons. You know, Jason's going to kind of do a bit of coaching with Dragons. It'll be something like that. It'll be somebody, I don't know, the chief, you know, Dale McIntosh. Or, do you know what I mean? It'll be somebody from a club, possibly a Premiership club, and they'll go, "Do you want to step up?" I think that's the way it'll work now. I can't see them recruiting a big name from somewhere else to come in and say, right, take over. I would love to see Adam Jones come back to Wales and coach Cardiff. I really would. I think
Wales, not Cardiff. Yeah. Wales.
No,
I'd rather come back to Wales and not Cardiff.
Yeah, I would love to see him come back as head coach at Cardiff. Just because I think he's got so much more to offer than just scrummaging. And if he's got good people around him, his attitude towards the game and his attitude towards player is exactly what we need in Wales. But yeah, we shall see. we'll see about that.
There might not even be a vacancy. Maybe this whole Diane thing will get resolved and he will return. I'm struggling to see it at the moment, but you never know what will happen, Okay, so let's move on then. Bad news, I'm afraid, from an Ospreys perspective yesterday. Thomas Francis. Well, we knew it was going to happen, but it was confirmed by the Ospreys on Monday that he is leaving Wales, he's leaving the Ospreys, and he's signed for French Pro D2 team Provence Rugby. That's a big loss for the Ospreys, isn't it, yesterday?
Yeah, when you're looking at it, it's probably your first choice tight head leaving the club, and you're thinking as one of another international that's leaving the Ospreys. How many is that now? You probably lost count, but yeah, it's a big blow. But again, you probably not going. How much were the Ospreys are going to see of Francis next season is another question. Obviously, away with the World Cup for a period of time, and then obviously a couple of months on, you'd see him at the Ospreys. Then back he goes to the Six Nations. So it opens up a brilliant opportunity for the likes of Ben Warren, one of the tight end props, and Rhys Henry, who's arguably a brilliant player. He shouldn't be a tight end. He should be a 10. but yeah, it gives him and Warren brilliant opportunity. Obviously, we saw what Henry could do up in Welford Road when Francis was unavailable, and I'm pretty sure Tom Botha will probably be the starting tight end prop next season with either Henry or Warren behind him. And obviously, there'll be more game time for more younger players, which is exciting. Obviously, a big blow to lose someone as good as Tom Francis, but exciting for the younger crop of players coming through.
Absolutely, yeah. I really like Rhys Henry. I'm a big fan of his because he is actually a really good scrummager as well. But what I like about him is the fact he's only 24, but he looks like he's 44, and I love that. I love that look about him. I think he's great. Sorry, Lee, what was you going to say?
Go on.
No, go on, mate. Go on. You carry on.
Oh, he did a solid job up in Welford Road. I'm pretty sure he had about 20 minutes before the clock.
Remember that?
Before the clock turned red, so there's about half an hour he was on the field for. And the replacement, Blue said, of Leicester was sent to the bin. That's how much of a job that Henry did that night, and obviously the dressing room celebrations afterwards was probably even better with him at the forefront of the singing. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. A really good, exciting prospect, even though he looks much older than he does.
So yeah, I think we should have more younger players with that gnarled look. That I've been around the block and I'm a bit of grey hair, and a couple of scars down there and what have you, and things like that. I love mum tattooed on their chin, stuff like that, just to scare the opposition more than anything. But the bit I was going to say, I thought that they were replacing him with, again, forgotten the name, the guy that's in the Welsh camp was coming from France, but then his contract got cancelled. The cancellation got cancelled, and now he's staying in France. Is that right? Did I read that right? Or
yes,
was that too many Miami Vice cocktails and too many Twitter reads? Yeah,
so that's Henry Thomas from Montpellier. So he was in negotiations with Welsh regions, but there is a U-turn now. He is actually staying at Montpellier. I don't know the full ins and outs, but he's not going to be joining a Welsh region now, Henry Thomas. I think he's agreed some terms with Montpellier because they wasn't happy with him going to the World Cup, were they? And there was talk about him having to sign for a region because the rules have changed now. I understand you don't have to necessarily play for Wales; you just have to be called up, don't you? Be an official squad now to be captured. So it's all a bit changed. So as far as I'm aware, I think Henry Thomas is he's staying at Montpellier for at least another year. I think it is. But don't quote me on that. But that's what I understand. Yeah. So it is going to be a loss for Wales, though, I think. Thomas Francis. I mean, Carwin criticised. He says, he's not mobile. He doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But, a primary job for a prop should be to scrummage. First and foremost, I want to see my tight head being able to scrummage. And then if he can do the bits around the park, that's a bonus as far as I'm concerned. And I think Thomas Francis is a really good scrummager, and I think he will be missed. Although he is still available for Wales, though, isn't he? Yeah. But of course, it's just the out of sight, out of mind thing. And will it go against him now that he's playing the Pro D2 rather than like the top 14?
Well,
you know,
what I will say against Thomas Francis is his fucking mullet. I mean, absolutely disgraceful haircut to be on. How can you confidently walk down the tunnel knowing that the world's cameras are going to be upon you with a fucking mullet like that? I mean, if he changes his hair, then I'd say, yeah, let's try and keep him in Wales. Let's try and bring him back. But if he's going to keep going with that mullet shit, nah. Him and Steph on a wing at Scarlets, between the pair of them, they must have the same hairdresser because Jesus Christ. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll retire after the World Cup as well. I don't know. I got a feeling he might retire, I think, Thomas Francis.
What, from international rugby?
Yeah, I just got a feeling he might call it a day. Although I don't really... How old is he? Just trying to look up how old is he. He's 31.
31, yeah.
He's 31. Yeah. Or maybe he won't retire then, but I don't know, I just got a feeling I could see a number of retirements after this. I mean, we've seen a few already in fairness, but yeah. I could see a couple more, and it wouldn't surprise me if Thomas Francis is quite comfortable, and if he in France he just goes, yeah, I'm fine. I don't want to play for international rugby anymore. But we'll see. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about Wales under-20s. And the under-20s championship that's been going on in South Africa. Now, yes, I know you've been keenly watching these games. I haven't been able to watch many of them. I've watched all of Wales's games, but you've been keeping a close eye on them. What have you made of the tournament so far, and Wales in general? How do you think it's going for them?
I think the tournament's been very good. There's quite a good standard of rugby, some really close games in there as well, and obviously there's some games when there's been some quite big scores, particularly involving France, because they've got some ridiculously talented players. But for Wales, it started off really well against New Zealand. Obviously, they took a really quick lead, and then they just had about 10 to 15 minutes of lapse of concentration, and they find themselves a score behind, and they nearly got that. Obviously, they went down by a point to New Zealand, although it was a very good performance, and it was improved from what was quite a poor Six Nations in a way. They didn't get many results, but it was a good performance against New Zealand. Japan then is kind of a little bit more different. It was a bit of a shaky performance. The weather conditions were horrific, to say the least. Quite a few handling errors, quite a few times the ball was being lost in the tackle area just by knock-ons and things like that. And it was a really nip and tuck game. There was a point in it with about 15 minutes to go. And then you see the scoreline, you're thinking Wales have played really well, and they've scored quite a few tries, but in reality it wasn't. And there was a couple of really late line breaks from Morgan Morse, which kind of sealed the deal for that one. And which is rather ironic because he was a year below me in school and we went to the same school. And so it's really nice to see him performing so well at that level. And then it was kind of a bit of a reality check then against France after the win against Japan. The really, really big French pack. And despite having their hooker sent off, they had a scrum half throwing into the line-out until the replacement hooker came back on, which caught my eye, which is really interesting. And but one thing that caught my eye was that 9 out of the France's starting 15 and under-20s levels had played in the top 14. And in contrast to that, from a Wales point of view, I believe there was only 1, maybe 2 that have played in the ORC for the regions, Cambonnet being one of them a fullback. So you saw how much experience that French side had. And you could see that they just in general, just bigger, better, and it paid off for them. And I think France are good favourites for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, they're going to take some stock in France, aren't they? I think the game against New Zealand, that was a missed opportunity. I thought we should have won that. The game against Japan, that was a misleading scoreline because it was very uncomfortable for a long time, and it wasn't until a late surge in the last sort of 10 minutes Wales got themselves out of jail. The game against France, I just couldn't believe how big France were. Their forwards were absolutely massive. And, when you compare it to our guys, we just look so small, didn't we? I mean, have you seen the size of Tuolagi, for fuck's sake? It's ridiculous.
They were huge.
Oh, did you see any of this, Lee? I know you've been an artist. Have you seen any clips or...
No, I saw the New Zealand game. I watched a bit of the New Zealand game while the wife wasn't watching, and I had it on the phone. I mean, the way France developed the young ones is completely different to the way we do it, And
you could see that the size of them. Okay, now,
but England are closer to it with the way they run their colleges and their college league and all of that kind of stuff. And then you watch our college league and you go, "Fucking hell, boys, come on!" And there doesn't seem to be the ambition, or we don't embed that ambition in young players quick enough and solidly enough. And we don't say to them, "Yeah, go and bulk," And a lot of young players now are told not to bulk. They're genuinely told, "Don't bulk up, don't get big and strong, because you need to do it gradually as you grow." And then what happens is, as they're starting to gradually bulk, somebody else has gone really big, like the whole of France, and then they just come and run all over you, and you think, "Well, fucking hell, what was the point of that? Where was my athletic ability?" Because that guy's 22 stone and is more athletic than I am and is faster than I am. And what the fuck's going on? So, yeah, I think we need to have, don't get me wrong. I think what Mark Jones has done has been fantastic in that short period of time.
We've been better in this tournament than we were in the Six Nations. I can tell you that. There are actual positives to come out of this.
Well, I said this at the time. I said, that the coaching setup that we had back then was a pile of shit for under 18s. Brian Haywood was a lucky defence coach for us at the Scarlets. He was a shit defence coach for Wales, and I just didn't rate him as a head coach of the under 20s.
So just to confirm, Lee, you're not a fan of Byron Haywood?
I'm not a fan. I'm not on his Christmas card list, put it that way. So, right. I think...
Sounds like there's beef there.
No, and, what I know of him, he's actually a nice guy. He is a nice guy to talk to, and he talks a really good game, and he talks about, development and expressing yourself. But part of that is also having ambition and being in a place where, you do bulk up. And we're just physically and mentally at junior level, we're just not in the game at the minute. And that is why most of our best players fuck off to England when they're young. And most of them come back because it is bred into you, from the age of like 2 days up till whenever you go to England, you're Welsh and you want to put that top on and you want those 3 feathers and you want to be in Cardiff and you want to be the centre of that attention and you want to have 85,000 fans screaming at you and things like that. You want that desire is there, but the skill levels that we develop with the physical levels and mental levels that we put into kids nowadays just isn't where the rest of the world is. And that's why it takes us so long to catch up. Italy have done it, Georgia have done it. We're getting fucked over, and we need to catch up really, really quick. So I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing at the minute is a massive credit to Mark Jones. I wasn't a fan of Mark Jones, I'll be honest. As a player, I thought he was quick. I didn't think he offered much outside of being quick. And he coached at RGC. I thought he did really well as a coach of RGC. He did, and then he went to Worcester, didn't he? Just before they went.
He went to Crusaders. Yeah, he went to Crusaders in New Zealand.
Yeah, and then he came back to Worcester, and I think he's done really well as a coach. I've changed my opinion about him. I didn't rate him very highly as a player, but as a coach, yeah, definitely did.
I think he's a better coach than he is a pundit, because when I've heard him doing his punditry on Scrum 5 and S4C, I haven't been impressed with punditry, to be quite frank. But going back to France, though, right, it's scary just how good French rugby is right now. That team that pumped Wales, right, it was much changed. I think it was like 8 or 9 changes, or something like that. They were down to 14 men. That was never going to be an issue. Like, they were always going to beat Wales. They could have beat Wales with 11, 12 men, I reckon. They were just so big, so powerful. This scrum was insane. It is scary how good French rugby is. So when you consider a few years ago, just French rugby was languishing in the doldrums, wasn't it? You know, but now the kids are so good, and the national setup, the top 14 is thriving, and it's really scary. I can't see them past this tournament. I think they will win. France. I don't know who's going to stop them. And in the World Cup as well, where France are at home, let's not forget, the World Cup is in France. It's very difficult to see who's going to stop France. But I think it's been positive for Wales on the whole. So the next game is against Georgia. That's right, yesterday, isn't it?
Yeah, Georgia on Sunday. I think kickoff's at 3 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, and that's for the 5th to 8th category.
Yeah.
Of the tournament. Georgia, who recently beat Argentina 20-0.
Italy, they beat Italy yesterday, 30 points to 17. They take that proper man of the match after scoring a try, so he had a good game. And again, just like their senior team, Georgia just got a big pack, and it's going to be quite tricky for Wales to live with that at times. I think we saw against France, they were a bit manhandled, and it's going to be a similar situation again. So it's going to be interesting to see how Georgia perform, because obviously they've had 2 straight wins, 2 big wins against 2 sides. You look on paper and you're thinking, no, they shouldn't really win, but they've done a really good job. So will they be off the boil a little bit? I'm not too sure. So it's going to be interesting to see. And whatever happens, if they win, or if Wales win or lose, they'll be up against either Australia and New Zealand. So that's going to be another big test to win the tournament.
There's an incentive for you, isn't it?
It's good for Georgia, though, isn't it? It's really good for them. You know, we talk about France. Georgia are really on the rise. Did you also see that story about? I mention his name all the time. He should get a commission for mentioning him. Alex Bywater again. he wrote a story about the Challenge Cup, because they're inviting 2 teams. Yeah. Black Lion from Georgia is rumoured to be one of the teams joining.
Yeah, I think
which I think is good.
That'd be brilliant for Georgian rugby, in my opinion. I know, obviously, the new rugby tournament thing, which has come out over the last couple of days, which has kind of put Georgia in a little bit of a hole at the moment. But if they have, if they've got a side playing in the Challenge Cup, you know, that's the second tier of European rugby. I think it would be really good. Obviously, I'm sure some Welsh regional support will have a fantastic weekend in Georgia, and but yeah, on the rugby side of things, it's really positive, and it shows that Georgia are growing as a rugby nation.
Yeah, brilliant win over Italy. But we 30-17.
We need more of it, though, don't we? You know, with the whole tier 2 thing, we need more of those. Let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago where France were a pile of shit, you know, and weren't even in the in the 4 nations. It was called the Home Nations Championship then. France weren't that good a rugby playing nation. You know, they've grown and grown. Australia for a long time in the 60s were just not a rugby playing nation. And Australia developed as a rugby playing nation because we sent out a whole load of Welsh coaches and a couple of English coaches and helped them develop a rugby system. So this stuff can be done. You know, you can encourage and develop and build a rugby nation. I wouldn't suggest Mexico as an option, because they're all off their fucking heads out there, I can assure you of that. But, you know, it can be done. And we should be encouraging sides like Georgia and Poland and Spain and what have you to, come up and play with the big boys, because that's how they develop, you know. What I will say, so about Mexico, so there are 2 things about Mexico.
Have you been to Mexico?
Been to Mexico.
So, you never said. You never said.
So this is why Mexicans don't play rugby, right? So one, every chemist you walk into has got a big sign in the door saying, "Get your anabolic steroids here." So me and my boy were looking at this going, "Is this real? Is this for real?" And we went in, and I had a blister on my toe, so I needed some plasters. I bought a pack of plasters, and then woman goes, "Would you like to see our list of anabolic steroids? These are what we got available." So that's the local chemist. So I don't think they're going to qualify from, they're going to produce some massive beasts, and there's some big, big Mexican boys around. But the other thing, and this is the video I sent you, James, was I went to watch this ceremony at Xcaret, which is like an ecological park, and they do this thing, Mexico through the ages. They were playing this game of hockey, but hockey's not interesting enough. Let's throw a fucking ball of fire in the middle of it. Playing hockey with a ball of fire, and you're like, yeah, I don't want those boys playing rugby. We pour little bits of water onto people's head. Those boys are playing hockey with a ball of fire, and you're like, and bare feet, just off their box. It's crazy.
You talk about Mexico there. They do actually have a rugby team. Where do you think they are in the World Rugby rankings? Have a guess. In the top 100, and you can get involved. Where do you think Mexico are? But no cheating, no looking it up.
I'm going to say about 100. It's you cannot.
You'd be surprised. They're much higher than that.
Are they?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I think they're run. So I want to say they might be in the top 50, somewhere around there.
They are in the top 50.
Mid 40s, somewhere around there.
They are ranked 49th in the world, Mexico. They are sandwiched between Trinidad and Tobago and the Ivory Coast. So Mexico do play rugby, and they're in the top 50. Yeah. I had to check. As soon as you said that, I thought, where are they in the world? Because they're bound to have one.
I'm not having this. I'm going to find out where they are. I tell you what, how you can play rugby in that heat out there, fair dues to those boys, because it is absolutely melting. It must be up north. They must play up north, next to the border, because fucking hell, you can barely walk in the street down south. So how they managed to do that. But anyway, what are we actually talking about?
We're talking about the world of the
championships. Yeah. So anyway, I don't think Mexico will be in it soon.
So so is there anything else you guys want to talk about now? Yes, is there anything you want to bring up? Any news?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered. I think I've covered everything.
Yeah. What about you, Lee?
See, I did have something, and I went to write it down, and then I had a drink of water, and I've completely forgotten what it was. Absolutely.
Well, that's handy.
It's really good, that is. I tell you, a week away, and I've just gone like, fuck it. Who cares? No one gives a shit. I'm off to get my free cocktails and sit on the beach. So, yeah.
Okay, well, let's wrap this up then. But before we go, we always ask our guests over there about how they feel Wales will do in the World Cup. So, come on, then, put your neck on the block. Where will Wales... Actually, I'm going to ask you two questions. Where will Wales finish? How far do you think we'll get? And who do you think will win the Rugby World Cup?
Because we know Wales aren't going to win. So
let Chicago win.
Yeah.
The second question is a lot easier to answer than the first, because I think France are going to win it. Because I know I chat with a lot of people from Ireland on Twitter, and some of them are a good laugh. But I don't know. I can't see anyone winning it. I think they will get past that quarterfinal stage, but I just can't see them winning it. Because France at home are probably a different beast in itself. I know Ireland beat them, but that was in Dublin, and I think France is just going to power through. I know they've got New Zealand in their group, and I know there's a quarterfinal potentially against South Africa or Ireland, but I think they're just going to power through that, and I think France will probably win the World Cup, and Roman and Tomac will do something ridiculously good in the final. And as for Wales, I really don't know. I'm really torn. It's between it could either be a humiliating pool exit or a World Cup semi-final. I don't know yet. So if I had to put my neck on the line, I'm just trying to work out. It's either going to be England or Argentina or Japan in the quarterfinals. Yeah. So I'd probably say quarters, but then again, if we match either, well, Argentina are rather inconsistent. England, I don't know what England are trying to do much longer, because I thought Eddie Jones was going to try and get them playing some good rugby over the next year, but obviously he got sacked. But then Japan are quite good as well, but I'm not sure. I don't know. So probably quarterfinals, but it could be a semi-final. So I'll probably stick with quarterfinals.
That's a safe option, isn't it? The quarterfinals. You know? If you say pool stage, it's like, oh. If you say semi-final, you're like, yeah, but, I think quarterfinals. It's funny when you click on Wales Online article, they always have this poll in this article. Where do you think Wales will get on? And I clicked on it just to see. I voted quarterfinals. There's something like maybe 62% say we're going to exit the pool stages. I'm like, the Welsh rugby public are confident then, aren't they? You know, bloody hell. But, I think we'll get out to the pool. I generally think we'll get out to the pool.
Cool. Well, on that one then, gents, I think we're done for the evening. I think we're all sorted. I'm going to go back and remember what my Miami Vice cocktails were made of, or my tequila sunrises, and just think about sitting in the sun again before I actually have to go back and do some work. Bastards.
Have a shock in the tequila, whatever it is you were doing out there.
Gents, it's been a pleasure as always. Iestyn, thank you for your time, my friend. We shall no doubt get you back on again at some point in the future. It'll be good to see you. And on that note, gents, thank you very much. I wish you all the best. Enjoy your week.
Cheers. Thank you. Ta-ra now.
Thank you for listening to the Wrap Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it. Please do rate us and tell your friends, as it really helps us to grow and get better. We'll be back next week with more of the same, and until then, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.